Tonight, pride and protest, a day of mixed emotions and charged debate as Adelaide marks Australia Day.
Our biggest footy clubs have weighed in, one strongly backing calls to change the date.
Also tonight, the Hoons fueling road rage of a different kind, why residents say our leaders have let them down.
Saving lives when seconds count. A first look at the new firefighting tool now in action.
And Australian Open upset, a young Italian takes down Djokovic in a semi-final for the ages.
This is Adelaide's 9 News.
Good evening. On our National Day, South Australians were divided in how they marked it.
Amid swelling debate, January 26 is now a day of solemn ceremonies and powerful marches, alongside family gatherings and barbecues celebrating what makes us Aussies.
Starting with a sacred ritual from our First Nations people. South Australians soon came together any way they could to mark our National Day. For some, it was a family affair and a chance to enjoy some old-time favourites.
Beautiful.
In Salisbury, crowds nestled amongst the gum trees from as early as 8 this morning.
We're the best country in the world.
The cooler conditions leaving our beaches a little barer than usual, but at Aldinga there was no mistaking what day it was. The public holiday embraced right across town, the dress code, everything Aussie. So too was the menu.
Lamingtons and
scones,
pavlovas and scones, everything Australian.
For our newest Australians, it was a day of firsts. This ceremony at Glenelg, one of many across the city, welcoming and celebrating those who are now officially citizens.
This means that we can go anywhere else and be, say that we're part of Australia now.
Feeling of pure pride and joy, it's immeasurable. Yeah, it feels great.
And here in the heart of the city, the theme of coming together has continued, with thousands gathering in solidarity to reflect on what today means to so many Australians. The voices of our First Nations people ringing loud and clear.
Not a date, not a date to celebrate.
Thousands marching side by side down King William Street on Invasion Day.
It's kind of an interesting day for us all. There's the sadness of the past and, of course, the celebration of survival.
A movement with growing support.
It's such a beautiful thing to come to, and it's stand in solidarity with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
All calling for the date of Australia Day to be changed. Shannon McDonald, 9 News.
And protesters were marching all across the country today, taking part in Invasion Day rallies. Melbourne CBD brought to a standstill with 35,000 uniting in the city. Things getting a little heated with authorities there and also in Canberra, where protesters broke through the police line, taking their message to the doors of power at Parliament House.
And Adelaide's two biggest footy clubs have weighed into the Australia Day debate. Gus McDonald, what have they said?
Yeah, Brenton, both clubs have taken to social media today to express their support for the country's First Nations people. In particular, Port Adelaide have taken a pretty strong stance on January 26, saying Port Adelaide Football Club respects that everyone has the right to their own views and supports changing the date. The Crows not going quite so far as calling for a new date, but joining in the support for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, saying they respect everyone's right to choose how they reflect on today. But Kate, both clubs say they are committed to reconciliation and unity moving forward.
Gus, thank you. And reconciliation is a key theme at Elder Park tonight. Chelsea, Carey, a big crowd is building there.
Well, Kate, this event was a washout last night, but the rain has now cleared and Oz Lights on the River has taken over Elder Park here. It all started earlier this morning with a smoking ceremony. Around 3,000 people turned out for the First Nations-led event, and the crowd is building further tonight. There's a wide range of family-friendly entertainment on offer, and it's all free, including a light show and live music. Families will soon start gearing up for the fireworks set to kick off at 9:30. So a big night planned here. We do have lots more sunshine in store over the weekend. I'll have the full weather details a little later. Brenton?
Thank you, Chelsea. We'll check in with you a little later. Two dangerous near misses in less than 24 hours are fuelling outrage along a notorious Rehn hotspot in the northeastern suburbs. Residents have been crying out for safety upgrades along Gorge Road, but say their calls have been met with deafening inaction.
Burnouts and screeching tyres in broad daylight. Hurtling down Gorge Road around 3:30 this afternoon, a driver spins out of control, coming within metres of houses and striking a tree.
You imagine if a pedestrian is walking over here and instead of tree, they might have hit them.
This incident just hours after another, also on Gorge Road, this spin out happening in the early hours of this morning. Pavan Kumar Teki jolted awake by the deafening noise. He ran outside to investigate, but the driver had regained control and continued on their way.
It's really scary, and they could have ended up in any property here with that speed and the way they're driving.
This incident, one of many on this stretch of road, which residents say has become a magnet for Rehn drivers. In July, an out-of-control ute clipped one house before smashing into Pavan's front room, his daughters playing there just moments earlier.
It's actually happening every day, is people driving up, and it's becoming more unsafe living here on the Gorge Road.
We need to do something about it, and there's no sense of urgency.
Residents here met with the government in November to voice their concerns. It was agreed that traffic markers and signage would be put in place to deter Rehn drivers, but so far no action has been taken.
A nursing home facility just next to us here, they frequent this stretch every day. There are children that walk up and down here. This needs attention and it's frustrating.
The government late today saying a traffic assessment is now underway, with work on the agreed safety measures to be completed in the coming weeks. Michaela Kamarek, 9 News.
A triple motorbike smash led to major delays at Aldinga this afternoon. 3 riders collided with each other on Main South Road around midday during a Veterans Motorcycle Club convoy from Aldinga to Yankalilla. The southbound lane was closed for several hours while they were treated at the scene. All were taken to hospital with minor injuries.
Investigations are underway tonight into an alleged assault at Osborne, which left 2 men in hospital. Police were called to the Solvay Road home just after 1 this morning. They were told a group of people forced their way in and assaulted the residents. The 27 and 28-year-old men were treated at the Royal Adelaide Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. It's believed they're not helping police with inquiries.
A new cutting-edge CFS Sky camera has already been put to the test, helping to prevent a potentially catastrophic blaze in the Adelaide Hills this week. The helicopter, which only joined the fleet weeks ago, is being described as a game-changer.
Soaring through the sky as smoke billows from the Adelaide Hills. Brand new CFS technology already put to work when fire took hold in Belair National Park just 3 days ago.
Stop all trains. This fire is burning off the train line.
It was rough terrain. Crews were on foot trying to access the whole thing, and the intelligence we were able to provide back to them on the ground, absolutely game-changing.
The Air Observer machine working from above to assist crews on the ground. It's fitted with a live-streaming infrared camera, allowing it to see through smoke and pinpoint hotspots.
To see through smoke, to use AI and overlay road names and track names so that we can gain up-to-date information.
And it's welcome news for locals in fire-prone areas.
Like reassurance, I think, just to know that we have an extra layer of safety and ways of fighting fires.
Scott Lucas working in Cherry Gardens when it went up in flames 3 years ago.
He's always conscious of, when there's really hot days, strong winds, you kind of try and, keep an eye on things.
The aerial camera enhancing firefighting capabilities, but also assisting the CFS in providing the most effective safety advice to the community.
We can ensure that the warning messages we issue to the community are as up-to-date, accurate and current as we can make them.
Because sometimes it's a little bit lacking, the updates are a little bit slow. That would help enormously.
Samantha Hogan, 9 News.
To breaking news now, and 2 children have been hurt in a serious vehicle crash on the Eyre Peninsula, one suffering critical injuries. It happened on the Todd Highway at Medinga, about an hour and a half drive north of Port Lincoln, just after 5. Police are still on their way to the scene. A woman has escaped with her life, but little else after the $100,000 motorhome she was living in went up in flames. At least 20 firefighters responded to the blaze, which broke out near the St Kilda Tramway Museum around 9:40 last night. Fire crews believe the blaze started because cooking had been left unattended. And cigarettes are being blamed for 2 other fires overnight. A cigarette butt left on a couch caused $50,000 worth of damage at this Elizabeth Park property, while a separate blaze at Edwardstown was contained to a mattress. No one was injured.
An unwelcome start to the day for Campbelltown residents after a burst water main caused a pothole to open up on Denmead Avenue. The rupture caused some flooding and left 30 customers without water for hours.
Woken up and no water. I went to turn the tap on, I had a slow drizzle and then all of a sudden there was nothing. So we're waterless for the day. Major inconvenience, I'd say.
Pretty bad. I could end up in the house, you know, like could have been worse. So yeah, so lucky we're here now getting it fixed.
SA Water says it's since been restored.
The opposition is vowing to target Anthony Albanese on trust and integrity until the next election. They've accused the Prime Minister of breaking a promise in favour of giving more low and middle income workers bigger tax cuts.
Stepping up for a defining parliamentary fight.
General salute!
Before freshly minted citizens, Anthony Albanese commending unity and a sense of common purpose.
We are always at our best when we work together.
Bipartisanship's already a fantasy when it comes to his plan to dump already legislated tax cuts for a Labor alternative.
He lied. He and the Treasurer lied over 100 times to Australians.
Better for women and workforce participation, better for nurses and truckies and teachers and policemen and women.
Labor's tax plan halves the benefit for the highest paid and gives more to low and middle income earners.
More help with the cost of living for more Australians.
On a day that always provokes questions about national identity, the opposition says it's the Prime Minister's character that's in query.
Well, I think it's just a major break of trust. It's a betrayal. Most Australians don't want a Prime Minister who looks them in the eye, tells them one thing and then does completely the opposite.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is changing plans to make sure we get better tax cuts for people.
The PM's been challenged by Peter Dutton to put his tax plan to the people by calling an election.
The tax cuts will take place on July 1. The earliest election is August 2024. So you work it out.
Prime Minister, you say you've changed your tax plan to suit the times, but when does a broken promise become a fib?
This isn't the easy decision. This is the right decision being done for the right reasons.
But it's a decision that effectively triggers a contest over tax and trust from now until the nation next votes. Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
Our newly minted Australians of the Year are already credited with saving thousands of lives, but their crusade is far from over. Professors Georgina Long and Richard Scolyer are pioneering melanoma researchers. Now the latter is in a cancer fight of his own.
Best friends and partners in medicine now sharing in the country's top honour.
The 2024 Australian of the Year is Professor Georgina Long and Professor Richard Scolyer.
Together saving thousands of lives with an immunotherapy treatment for melanoma, curing half of all patients diagnosed. Channel 9 cameraman Tim Sweeney living proof of their success.
But I did come in to say thank you.
Oh.
You did save my life.
Yeah, wow.
Because I'm going well.
Yeah, fantastic. Richard was diagnosed with brain cancer last year. The professor turned patient, the first in the world undergoing experimental therapy, using everything they know about melanoma on his brain, hoping it will help save others.
Seemed like a no-brainer, if you like, to me. Let's give it a crack, see if we can make a difference in brain cancer too.
Golden girl Emma McKeon, our most decorated Olympian at 29, adding Young Australian of the Year to her collection for her charity work.
I just really want to inspire Australians, and particularly young Australians and kids, to go after their dreams.
Indigenous elder Yalmay Yunupingu winning the senior category, recognising her 40 years of teaching, using the power of language to unite our cultures.
Let all stand up and work together.
A man from a tiny outback Queensland town with a huge vision, David Elliott, crowned local hero. After stumbling on dinosaur bones in a paddock 25 years ago, he's spent every day since preserving our prehistoric history, keeping Winton on the map.
I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And that sort of really embraces everything. So it embraces regional Australia, it embraces education with kids.
Their first official duty, welcoming our newest citizens, and in their new roles they will meet and no doubt inspire millions more. In Canberra, Sophie Upcroft, 9 News.
Phenomenal. Congratulations and well-deserved. And Reddy, what a well-deserved win for Yannick Sinner.
Amazing upset, Brenton. The young Italian dethroning the undisputed king of the Australian Open. We'll have all the highlights a little later. Also ahead, the Steve Smith experiment fails again as the Aussie top order crumbles. And tears of despair as Nestoroi misses out against Melbourne City.
Thanks, Tom. We'll see you soon. This is not America. Donald Trump cries foul after just 3 minutes on the stand. That story's next. And a little later, a record $200 million Powerball. The rule change that's made it even harder for you to win.
9 News, brought to you by Stan.
Donald Trump has taken to the stand to defend himself against a writer seeking millions of dollars for defamation. It was only brief, but the former US president made the most of it, playing the victim as he attacked the justice system again.
Emerging from Trump Tower with a wave and a fist in the air before the former president took the stand in a trial to defend himself. It was only 3 minutes, and according to Donald Trump's lawyers... Alina, how did that go today?
Fantastic.
The defamation case was brought by writer E. Jean Carroll. Donald Trump has already been found liable for sexually abusing and defaming her. This trial is for remarks he made when he was president. In court, he watched his own deposition played to the jury.
It's the most ridiculous, disgusting story. It was just made up.
Do you stand by your testimony? In deposition, his lawyer asked him. 100% yes. Did you deny the allegation to defend yourself? Alina Hubber asked him. Yes, I did, Donald Trump replied. That's exactly right. She said something I considered a false accusation. But the judge ordered the jury disregard the last part, having set strict rules around what the former president could say. Outside, Donald Trump told reporters, "This is not America." Today, E. Jean Carroll got to see Donald Trump take the stand. With his testimony now done, soon it will be over to a jury to determine how much in damages, if any, the former president will have to pay to E. Jean Carroll. She's seeking $15 million. How did you feel seeing him in the stand, E. Jean Carroll? Tonight, Donald Trump is again insisting he's been wronged, using his time in the stand to raise money. In New York, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
As we go to air tonight, around 60,000 homes are without power across North Queensland after Cyclone Carey made landfall near Townsville last night. The storm crossed the coast as a Category 2 system, damaging homes and tearing trees from their roots. Residents along the coast are now picking up the pieces, while communities inland are bracing for a deluge from the now ex-cyclone.
We all know someone who gives their all to enrich their community. And tonight, there's high praise for more than 700 people on the Order of Australia Honours List who've made an exceptional contribution.
She's jumped out of a plane twice. 83-year-old Margaret Ann Hayes is one heck of a woman. A decade ago, she set herself a goal of raising $250,000 for charity, shaving her head, running a half marathon, organising auctions, flea markets, donation drives, and facing her fear of heights. Tonight, Australia is saying thank you. Margaret Ann is a recipient of an Order of Australia medal.
There should be so many other ladies sitting beside me, sort of saying, not just me.
A life of salt and sand and a lifetime creating surfboards. 82-year-old surf icon Shane Steadman honoured for services to the surf industry.
I'm in the fun industry. The surf industry is fun. So I've had a lifetime of fun, which not a lot of people are allowed. We certainly do live in the lucky country There's no doubt about that.
In 1994, Zoe Goss became a household name.
Yes, I think that she's got him. Zoe's got him.
Bowling out one of the world's greatest batsmen, Brian Lara. She's blazed a trail for women's cricket, tonight recognised for decades of service. So too, former Australian of the Year and world-leading burns specialist Dr. Fiona Wood. And Aboriginal elder and cultural mentor Auntie Billawara Lee for her work with Indigenous communities. Maestro John Foreman is back on the honours list for his services to music.
It came out of the blue and it's really something for which I'm very, very grateful and very thankful to whoever it was that nominated me.
Aussies from all walks of life doing their bit to make our country that little bit better. Lizzie Pearl, 9 News.
Well done. A tour of the athletes' village in Paris with our Olympic chef de mission, Anna Mears. Plus, drivers left shocked when a pilot is forced to make an emergency landing.
9 News, brought to you by Australia's #1 selling vehicle, Ford Ranger.
A routine traffic stop in Oklahoma almost ended in tragedy when a four-wheel drive careened into the stationary vehicle. The impact threw the police officer several metres and caused one of the vehicles to roll. Incredibly, everyone was okay. Japan's stricken moonlander has finally sent its first images back to Earth, helping to explain why it initially struggled to generate power. The picture revealing it had come to rest on its nose when it made its historic touchdown almost a week ago. A terrifying sight for drivers in Turkey as a huge military plane skimmed just metres overhead during an emergency landing. The country's defence ministry says a technical problem forced its pilots to land on a nearby soccer pitch.
The US state of Alabama has used nitrogen gas to execute a convicted murderer, the first known use of the capital punishment method. United Nations human rights experts had tried to stop it, saying the procedure was risky and could lead to a torturous death.
Well, 14,000 athletes will descend on Paris for this year's Olympic Games, and their home away from home is almost complete. Our sporting stars set to be given all the creature comforts as they prepare to chase gold.
A sneak peek inside the home of the 2024 Games. In Saint-Denis, on the outskirts of Paris, there's a race on to finish the athletes' village.
This is a city within a city, so we have to provide athletes with all the amenities, everything that they need during the Games.
Paris 2024 organisers say it would normally take 15 years to construct something this big. It'll be done in under 5. 40 new buildings, 3,000 apartments, each with multiple rooms, spanning 300,000 square metres. From July, it'll house 14,000 athletes. Our chef de mission, Anna Mears, is inspecting the site, along with Australian representatives for each sport.
Very positive. Good quality, good to be able to see it early ahead of the Games time so that they can provide feedback back to the sports and athletes as well.
It's accessible, eco-focused and naturally cooled, although the Aussie team has specifically requested air conditioning. There will be 9,000 trees and even outdoor air purifiers. Recycled materials keep the cost of the village down, around 3.3 billion Australian dollars. It has the necessities and some luxuries.
There'll be a bank, a post, there'll be a merchandise store, a grocery store, an hair salon also, and a big screen also, so they can look at the games here together.
Where we have our allotment for our team is very close to a lot of the amenity services that we are going to use very heavy through the Games time.
Everything here has been built quite close together so that the athletes don't have too far to walk anywhere. But they'll also have access to shuttles and chauffeured golf carts to help them get around the village. The food hall will serve up to 40,000 meals a day. This is expected to be a popular spot for the athletes during the Games. A new boardwalk has been built along what was a previously inaccessible part of the Seine. It'll be a nice spot for them to come and hang out and relax and take in the sunshine. They'll sleep in beds made of cardboard, an idea taken from the Tokyo Games. The apartments will eventually be sold and rented for private use, but not before they've been called home by current and future champions.
Very happy to host Australian athletes here in the village and to live the game with them.
In Paris, Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
A young Russian anti-war activist has been sentenced to 27 years jail. Darya Trepova bombed a cafe last April, killing a prominent pro-war military blogger and injuring dozens more people. It's the longest sentence for a woman in modern Russian history.
The steeple of a church in the United States has collapsed into the rest of the building, taking out most of the roof and the entrance. There were fears people were inside, with search and rescue teams deployed, but there were no major injuries. The church in New London, Connecticut, was built in 1850. Luis Rubiales, Spain's former soccer chief, will go to trial over the non-consensual kiss after last year's World Cup final in Sydney. A High Court judge also recommended 3 officials be tried on charges of coercion for putting pressure on Jennifer Hermoso to say she consented.
Prince Edward has met the world's oldest land animal, a 191-year-old giant tortoise named Jonathan, on the island of St Helena in the South Atlantic Ocean. The Duke is not the first royal to meet the reptile. The late Queen Elizabeth had a close encounter when she was still a princess in 1947.
Aussie parents grappling with a surge in back-to-school anxiety among their kids. The details next. Plus, Powerball jackpots to $200 million. Your odds of getting the winning ticket.
As Aussie parents rush to buy last-minute uniforms and stationery, they're being encouraged to consider their child's mental health. Experts say a longer summer break has caused a surge in back-to-school anxiety.
A new school year means new beginnings, new adventures and new challenges.
That's where you'll learn to write.
5-year-old Harley seemingly unfazed as he prepares for his first day of school.
So he came home with his uniform when we bought it and I was getting a little bit emotional. I was like, why are you crying?
A new survey found it's not just parents who are struggling. Psychologists at Smiling Mind found half have noticed a decline in their child's mental health in the past year. And the same number don't feel prepared to manage and support their kids' struggles.
We do know that at the moment, about 70% of paediatric appointments in Australia are for mental health concerns.
Experts partially blaming the COVID hangover and a spike in generalised anxiety among students, with many refusing to go to school last year.
Getting ready for a new school year can feel extra daunting.
To make the transition back to school a little easier, experts say it starts at home, with tools such as the Smiling Mind app, helping parents navigate some of those tough emotions. Other tips include preparing ahead of time to avoid rushing in the morning, resetting routines such as bedtime before school starts, and encouraging your child to talk about their feelings.
It's probably just that uncertainty, just the unknown. I think that's pretty normal for anybody and, I'm sure he's feeling it just like I'm feeling it.
Amber Johnston, 9 News.
The Powerball prize pool has jackpotted to a record-breaking $200 million, and more than half of the Australian adult population is expected to buy a ticket. But what are your chances of winning? Finance editor Chris Kohler has crunched the numbers.
Back in June, the jackpot hit $100 million. This week, it was $150 million. And next week, it'll be $200 million, a new Australian record. So how does the main prize keep rising so much? Well, it's been done on purpose by making the game harder. Back in 2018, the odds of winning were 1 in 76 million. But an extra ball has since been added, and now it's 1 in 135 million. So much, much harder. But when you're already talking about a moonshot, people are still happy to have a crack. And the strategy has been paying off for the company behind the lottery. In the last 10 days, it's increased in value by $600 million. But just for context, our new record of $200 million is still dwarfed by the American lottery. A little over a year ago, there was a $2 billion jackpot and was handed to a single winner, Edwin Castro. The odds of him winning that were 1 in almost 300 million, and his year-long spending spree shows no sign of abating.
And Rennie is back with sports. Speaking of winning, Yannick Sinner, the win of his life.
Could it be the changing of the guard, Brenton? It certainly felt like a milestone moment for that man today. We'll have all the highlights next as Yannick sends the 10-time champion packing from the Australian Open. And Travis Head gone first ball as the Windies run rampant at the Gabba. Hello again. 22-year-old Jannik Sinner has dethroned the Australian Open king, defeating Novak Djokovic to make his first major final. The fourth seed dominated the opening 2 sets, and while the world number 1 dug deep, Sinner powered home to complete the massive upset.
His name might be written on the walls, but when Novak Djokovic steps onto Rod Laver Arena, there's only one idol. This time, though, it was the semi-final debutant off to a flyer.
What a start!
Jannik Sinner taking full advantage of the Serbian sloppiness. The first set his in just 35 minutes. And as the 22-year-old's confidence swelled with each powerful winner, Novak's radar faded further.
It's another break. Sinner starting strong in the second.
He located some brilliance for a much-needed spark.
Oh my goodness. What a save.
But those moments would be only fleeting.
Sinner smashing this semi-final. He takes the second set.
The Joker's army couldn't believe its eyes. Sinner was reading their man like a book.
Oh, yes.
With Djokovic's dream of a 25th crown unravelling at the seams, survival instincts kicked in.
Amazing.
The third set on a knife's edge until a medical emergency in the stands halted play for 6 minutes. And rising from that break, the 10-time champion, saving a match point in the tiebreak, now limbered up and ready to go the distance.
It's Djokovic on the breaker. We're going for.
But that took a physical toll on Djokovic, escaping for another breather as the sun continued to bear down. And the fourth seed welcomed him back with more heat.
And this time he breaks.
The gutsy Italian refusing to take his foot off the pedal, with even Novak joining in the applause. Sinner, now the saint of Melbourne Park.
There's a new king in Melbourne.
Into his first Grand Slam final, the smile finally crept across his face.
I lost last year in the semis in Wimbledon, so I think I learned a lot from that, and you know it's all part of the process. I'm really happy to share this here with you guys and also with my team.
As the world number 1 exited his court, defeated for the first time since 2018. Joshua Dawn, 9 News.
Wow, what a win. Well, South Aussie Travis Head has been dismissed for a golden duck on a disastrous second day so far for the Aussies. Steve Smith failed again. Australia 5 for 137 a short time ago. That's in reply to the Windies' first innings total of 311.
The early signs were ominous. This wouldn't be Australia's day.
Green rarely has any issues in the gully.
An untimely run out, the only slip up for the West Indies.
Oh, run out. Got to be out. Got to be out. That is a monumental muck-up.
Kevin Sinclair's half-century helped his side surpass 300 for the first time this summer.
It's a beauty. And not only that, it's 50 on debut for Sinclair.
The Windies all out for a respectable 311, putting more pressure on new opener Steve Smith.
Oh, to get an inside edge on it.
The umpire forced to reverse his call and Smith was gone for 6. Marnus Labuschagne wasn't far behind.
Edged away, great catch! That is a screamer!
Cam Green couldn't crack double digits.
Oh, is that out? It is! Hits it straight to mid-off!
As it all came to a head for the Aussies.
Oh, there was a noise. Oh, he's given him! Caught behind down the leg side. Travis had his form.
2 wickets in 2 balls for Kumar Roach had Australia in trouble at 4 for 24. Usman Khawaja quickly running out of partners.
Brilliant bowling, great thinking from the West Indies, and Marsh's fight is over pretty quick as well.
Nat Unides, 9 News.
Well, let's stick with cricket because veteran Aussie spinner Nathan Lyon has thrown his support behind Adelaide Oval, declaring the stadium as his preference to play pink ball tests. Brisbane have instead played host to this year's day-nighter, which is traditionally held at Adelaide Oval.
Try and not get in trouble. And this is just my opinion. I feel like the right venue for a pink ball test is Adelaide Oval, and that's because the contest between bat and ball and the grass left on the wicket. This wicket, I think it would be a brilliant red ball wicket.
Paceman Mitch Stark has also come out in favour of Adelaide hosting future pink ball tests. Well, the Adelaide 36ers will look to continue their finals push when they take on the Cairns Taipans tomorrow in a home Pride round fixture. It's a special round for the only openly gay player in the league, Isaac Humphries, who says the focus can only help other players feel accepted in the game.
For Isaac Humphries, the chance to celebrate the gay community while playing basketball means more than just winning or losing.
I know that it's touching a lot of people around Australia, knowing that basketball is becoming a place for everyone and that everyone's welcome to come support and play.
The Sixers to host their Pride match tomorrow night.
I've never played at a home game for a Pride round yet. It's pretty fresh, so I've got a couple of gay friends coming along and everyone's very excited.
The 36ers will look to continue their winning ways here tomorrow at home against the Cairns Taipans.
Every win's really important for us right now. We need to win. Our form's been great and we're really going to try to snowball that in a positive way and keep going.
And that snowball of form is helping the 25-year-old centre be in contention for Olympic selection this year.
I think the way I've been playing warrants to be in a really serious conversation about it for sure.
But at the moment, the focus for the centre is fixed on taking down the Taipans who arrived in town early this afternoon. Gus McDonald, 9 News.
Football now. Nathan Murphy has survived a concussion scare after being driven headfirst into the ground in a dangerous tackle at Collingwood training. And it wasn't the only friendly fire, with tensions flaring between a couple of superstars.
Nathan Murphy has had 10 concussions and nearly had his career ended by an expert panel in December. So this was the last thing Pies fans wanted to see. Murphy taken off the track for around 15 minutes before thankfully finishing match simulation with no concern. He wasn't the only Magpie that was in the wars either. Another playful spat between Jordan De Goey and Nick Dacos. Perhaps the fire needed to ignite Collingwood's premiership defence.
Watching those two get in, I think in our environment, highly competitive players is what you want. They push each other. They're arguably our two most important players, so when they're going at it, it's good to see.
Jeremy Howe now training without the sleeve, which masked his shattered arm last year, and ready to embrace more positional versatility in the twilight of his career.
I'm playing a little bit down forward at the moment, but don't expect to see me down there. My primary role will be down back again, and if they need me to kick a couple of goals, I'm more than happy to chuck my hand up.
Josh Dacos again trained away from the main group with a foot issue as former Pie Mark Keane visited his old teammates. Head recruiter Derek Hine also watched from afar, surveying a number of uncontracted players vying for one of Collingwood's 3 vacant list spots. At Melbourne, Angus Brayshaw joined match simulation for a quarter, baby steps towards a concussion recovery. Jake Lever returned from an ankle issue, while Christian Salem was restricted to running laps due to a hamstring concern. Xander Maguire, 9 News.
Adelaide United forward Zach Clough says the Reds will throw their arms around Nestoroi Irankunda after he was left in tears following last night's frustrating 1-0 loss to Melbourne City. The home side hit the front in just the 5th minute thanks to a stunning strike from Terry Antonis. The Reds pushed hard for an equaliser, Irankunda with a gilt-edged chance deep in the second half.
And then some. And Irankunda's nicked the ball. It's Nestor Irankunda, one-on-one against the keeper. And Jamie Young prevails.
17-year-old Irankunda was comforted by the 38-year-old keeper after the game, and United's players say they'll continue to do the same.
As a team, we always look after Nestor and we keep encouraging him to keep doing what he's doing, and his goals will come.
Last night's loss leaves the Reds in 8th spot on the table. Good sportsmanship. Well, Socceroos defender Harry Suter hopes shock results in the pool games at the Asian Cup help silence the critics questioning the strength of the tournament.
I think there's a lot of disrespect towards, Asian football from other parts of the world. From certain people as well. I don't think that a lot of people, give teams from Asia, the credit, they deserve.
The Socceroos take on Indonesia on Sunday night for a place in the quarter-finals. Let's hope they can get the win. Alexander Zverev, Daniil Medvedev, another cracking semi-final on 9 tonight.
Sure. It's going to be great. Thank you so much, Tom. Well, more sun is on the way this weekend. The weather details are coming up right after the break. First, though, a look at tomorrow's speed cameras.
Wake up and laugh with Adelaide's #1 breakfast show.
Rudits and Laws, weekdays on 104.7 Triple M.
For the latest Adelaide news and traffic.
Well, thousands of people are here at Elder Park for Ozlights on the river. Now, the event was a washout last night, but that means double the amount of fireworks for tonight. It is a little breezy here in the city, but staying mostly dry tonight. We had a top of 23.3 earlier this afternoon. Right now, it's sitting on at 20 degrees. Now, it was quite a grey start to the day across Adelaide, but we've seen plenty of sunshine this afternoon. Temperatures lifting into the mid-20s in the northern suburbs, just 19 on Mount Lofty. Some gusty winds up around places like Lee Creek, but it's been a mostly dry day across the state. Port Pirie and Port Augusta reaching 27. Top temperatures have been generally below average due to the cooler winds. Hindmarsh Island making 21, Murray Bridge and Keith 24. Now, it is looking quite settled across SA for the next week or so. A ridge of high pressure is going to keep conditions mostly fine and stable here. Up in Queensland, though, heavy rain is forecast through the state's interior as the now ex-cyclone Carey sweeps through. Elsewhere, conditions are looking mostly dry in Melbourne tomorrow. Good news for the tennis, 23 the top there. In Sydney, overcast and 27, and in Perth, a hot and sunny Saturday in store. Back home and sunny through our far north, essentially a dry day across the state, but maximum temperatures staying below average. Clare and Whyalla looking at 24 tomorrow. A bit of cloud around the south and winds could become quite fresh along the coast. 21 for Victor Harbour, 24 for Murray Bridge and Nurutva. Now, a marine wind warning has been issued for strong winds on the Spencer Gulf tomorrow. On local waters, winds tending south to southeasterly in the evening, easing to around 10 knots, seas around 1 metre. So here is your Saturday across Adelaide, a mixture of cloud and sunshine. Certainly quite cool for January though, but it is looking like a dry day. 23 at Glenelg and Noarlunga. Here in the city, quite a cool night tonight, down to 13 degrees. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and at 23. Then warming up on Sunday. Lots of sunshine in store. Looking like a great day for getting out and about. Sunny and at 28. And then for back to school on Monday, well, it is looking like a warm start to the term. Sunny and at 31. And then really quite a pleasant week with lots of warm sunshine. At this stage, Friday looks set to be the warmest day of the week, up to 33. Brenton and Carey.
Thank you, Chelsea. That's a good-looking forecast. Well, that wraps up the week of news here on 9. Thanks so much for joining us.
Alice Monfries presents our weekend bulletins, and we'll return now for another epic semi-final at the Australian Open in Melbourne. Enjoy your evening.
Good night.